Every few months, a video pops up claiming Hajime no Ippo Season 4 is confirmed, says the announcement dropped, says it is happening, and says Netflix is involved, and gets thousands of views off pure hopium. Then nothing happens. No announcements, nor production news, no studio confirmation, nothing. And the cycle resets. New video, new thumbnail, same lie, but a different month. I'm not here to sell you that. I'm here to tell you what is actually going on. With sources, with history, with facts. Because this fandom deserves better than the garbage that has been clogging up search results for the last decade. Let's get into it. Part 1. The actual timeline. If you want to understand why Season 4 isn't here yet, you have to start with the gaps between every season that's already existed. Because the pattern tells you everything. Season 1 ran from October 2000 to March 2002. 75 episodes plus a DVD exclusive 76th episode. Produced by Madhouse, Nippon Television and VAP, directed by Satoshi Nishimura. Then it stopped. Season 2. Hajime no Ippo New Challenger didn't air until January 2009. That's a 7-year gap, man. 7. Between Season 1 and Season 2. Season 2 ran for 26 episodes, wrapped June 2009. Season 3, Rising, didn't air until October 2013. Another 4-year gap. And Rising only ran 25 episodes, finishing in March 2014. Season 4? We're sitting at June 2026, man. That's 12 years since Rising ended, and counting. And here is what nobody says out loud. The gaps between seasons are not anomalies. They are the pattern. This franchise has never had consistent production momentum. Every season has come back against the odds with multi-year silences in between. The idea that Season 4 should have happened by now or that the absence means something sinister misunderstands how this series has always operated. But that still leaves the question of why. What actually causes these gaps? Part 2. The disc sales reality. The traditional model for greenlight decisions in Japanese anime is built heavily on disc sales, DVDs and Blu-rays. When a season airs, the production committee watches what the home media does. Strong sales equal a renewed mandate to make more. Weak sales mean you sit on your hands. For Hajime no Ippo, Wikipedia, citing the sales records for the North American release, says that disc sales for the series are not performing well. Geneon Entertainment had licensed the first season in North America in 2003 under the title Fighting Spirits. They went out of business in 2007 before they could release the OVA. That's the company that was supposed to be distributing the series in the West. Gone, without even finishing the job. That's not a show that was selling like Dragon Ball Z. In Japan, the original broadcast ran on Nippon TV in prime time, and the series has always had a dedicated fan base. But there's a difference between being a beloved classic and being a commercially dominant franchise that production committees line up to fund. Hajime no Ippo has always sat in an awkward middle zone, too important to be ignored, not commercially explosive enough to be a guaranteed green light. That explains the gaps. Every new season is a negotiation, not a default. Part 3. What Madhouse actually is now. People throw Madhouse around like it's this independent studio with its own agenda. It's not. In February 2011, Nippon Television bought an 84.5% stake in Madhouse, replacing Index Corporation as the primary shareholder. By March 2014, right as Rising was finishing its run, NTV bought out the remaining Index Corporation shares, increasing its ownership to 95%. Nippon TV owns 95% of Madhouse, and Nippon TV has been the broadcasting partner for every single Hajime no Ippo season. Season 1 on NTV, Season 2 on NTV, Season 3 on NTV. The studio and the broadcaster are basically the same company. So when people ask, is Madhouse going to make Season 4? They're really asking if NTV's animation subsidiary has been giving the green light to work on an NTV broadcast franchise. This is a corporate decision. It's not an artistic one. It basically comes down to whether NTV thinks it's worth the investment right now. And right now, they have not made the call. I want to be clear about something else regarding Rising. It was not purely a Madhouse production. The third season was a joint production between Madhouse and Mappa. That's not a small detail. Mappa, which has since gone on to produce Attack on Titan the final season, Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen, was brought in as a co-producer on Rising. This means the specific production setup that made Rising possible isn't automatically repeatable. Mappa now has a completely different profile in the industry than it did in 2013. Part 4. The thing nobody talks about. The cast. This is part of the Season 4 conversation that I almost never see discussed, and it matters more than anything I've said so far. The voice cast for the Hajime no Ippo anime has been devastated by death since Rising concluded. Kenji Utsumi, the original voice of Kamogawa, died before Rising even aired. The entire third season ran without him. He was replaced by Shozo Iizuka. Ichiro Nagai, the voice of Nekota Ginpachi, died during the production of Rising. Then after Rising completed, Keiji Fujiwara, the voice of Kimura Tatsuya, one of the core Kamogawa gym members, a character you see almost in every arc, died on April 12, 2020 from cancer. He was 55 years old. Unsho Ishizuka, the voice of Miyata's dad, died after the series completed. Toshihiko Nakajima, the voice of Yaki-chan, died after the series completed. That's 5 key characters who would need new voice actors for Season 4. And some of these are not background roles. Kimura is in the main gym crew. Kamogawa was already recast once. Nekota already lost his voice during production. A new season would require the production to either recast these roles, which carries real risk of audience rejection, or navigate around them narratively. Neither is simple, neither is cheap, and neither has been discussed publicly by anyone involved with the franchise. This is a real, concrete production obstacle that the fake leak crowd never mentions, because it doesn't fit the narrative they're selling. Part 5. The manga's actual situation right now. This is the part that's happening in real time and makes the Season 4 conversation even more complicated. Chapter 1515 of the Hajime no Ippo manga was published in Weekly Shonen Magazine's 14th issue on March 5, 2026. This is the most recent chapter as of right now. The manga has been frozen there since. On March 30, 2026, George Morikawa announced on his X account that he had been hospitalized that day. In the post, he said he was focusing on treatment and recovery and that, if everything went smoothly, he expected to be able to return in about a month. He also shared a draft image of the upcoming chapter. This signals he intends to continue. This is not the first health-related disruption. In early January 2026, the manga had already entered an indefinite hiatus. And throughout all of 2025, the series had irregular releases. Out of approximately 48 issues of the magazine that year, only 32 chapters of Hajime no Ippo were published. That's roughly 16 missed weeks in a single year. The story was barely moving. This is the author's only manga. He has been drawing it since 1989. That's 37 years of a single weekly serialization. The man is not well. He needs to rest. And I say that with complete sincerity. But here is what that means for Season 4. You do not commission a new anime adaptation of a manga that is on an indefinite hiatus because the author is hospitalized. You just don't. No studio, no broadcaster, and no streaming platform is going to make that investment right now. The foundation is simply unstable. Part 6. The Morikawa Factor. Something else worth knowing about Morikawa that almost no one mentions when they talk about this franchise: he didn't want an anime in the first place. When the manga was gaining traction in the early days, multiple companies approached him about an adaptation. He turned them down. All of them. It wasn't until about 10 years into the series, when the manga had reached roughly 40 volumes, that he was approached by a group that convinced him. He agreed. And then when the second episode aired, he was reportedly disappointed. He thought they had broken the agreement on production quality and wanted them to stop. After a meeting where they committed to improvements, he backed down. He left the script approval process entirely to the producer once trust was established. And that's the relationship between Morikawa and the anime. It's always been his reluctant blessing, not his driving ambition. The anime exists only because Nippon TV and MADHOUSE wanted it, not because he was chasing an adaptation. That dynamic doesn't automatically block a Season 4. But it does mean there's no version of this story where Morikawa is pushing for one. Right now, he's focused on finishing the manga. In July 2023, when the series crossed 100 million copies in circulation, he said it was halfway through the story. Halfway, man. At 100 million copies, 1500 plus chapters, 35 years into serialization, think about what that means. There's a mountain of story left. The anime has covered through volume 61 of a 145 volume and growing series. Getting to the current story in the manga would require hundreds more episodes. Part 7. What Netflix actually means and what it doesn't. In June 2024, Netflix started streaming the OG Hajime no Ippo anime in the United States. All 75 episodes, both Japanese and English dub. Then in January 2025, Netflix added New Challenger and Rising, making New Challenger officially available in English for the first time ever. And people lost their minds. Netflix picked it up, Season 4 is confirmed! No. Netflix licensing an existing anime and Netflix producing or co-producing a new season are completely different things. Netflix licenses thousands of shows. It streams them. That's a distribution deal. It generates revenue for the rights holders. It does not, by itself, trigger production of new content. What the Netflix deal does tell you is that there's renewed Western interest in the franchise, that the rights holders see value in putting the series in front of new audiences, that Hajime no Ippo is commercially viable enough to land on the world's largest streaming platform. This is genuinely good news. It's good for the fandom, it's good for the franchise's long-term profile. A completely new generation of viewers is discovering this series right now. And eventually, if Season 4 ever does happen, that audience is the one who'd watch it. But Netflix added old seasons and Netflix commissioned Season 4 are not the same sentence. They're not even the same paragraph. Part 8. The December 2025 leak Autopsy. Let's talk about the specific piece of misinformation that was circulating through late 2025. A post on X claimed that Hajime no Ippo Season 4 would be announced in December 2025. It spread. It got traction. It spawned a wave of YouTube videos. December 2025 came, no announcements. Not a teaser, no press release, nothing from Kodansha, MADHOUSE, MTV or Netflix. Complete silence from every official channel. This is the specific claim that Techie Plus Gamers, one of the few outlets that actually bothered to investigate, categorized as false information not verified by any official or industry source. By the time December came and went, the damage was done. The views were already collected, the believers were already disappointed, and the creators of those videos moved on to make the next one. This is the cycle. Fake leak, viral spread, silence, reset. New fake leak. The people doing this are not invested in the truth. They're invested in the search volume. Hajime no Ippo Season 4 confirmed will always outperform Hajime no Ippo Season 4 complicated in terms of clicks. So that's what they make. Part 9. The actual conditions for Season 4. So let me do what none of those videos do and actually lay out what would need to be true for Season 4 to happen. First, Morikawa's health has to stabilize. You cannot adapt a manga that's on an indefinite hiatus due to the author's hospitalization. The foundation of the entire franchise is one man's health. He comes first. Second, the manga needs to return to consistent serialization. Production committees don't fund anime based on frozen source material. They need to know the story is going somewhere, that there's content to adapt, and that the author has signed off on the process. Third, a funding decision has to be made by the NTV Madhouse production committee and whoever they bring in as co-producers. Given that MAPPA was part of Rising and is now one of the most in-demand studios in the industry, the co-production model would need to be rebuilt from scratch. That means money, scheduling, and studio capacity. Fourth, the casting situation has to be addressed publicly. At least 3 key recurring characters need new voice actors. This is not an afterthought. That's a production conversation that happens before a single frame is animated. And number 5, and this one is simple, there would need to be an announcement. Not a tweet from an anonymous X account, a press release, a visual, a teaser, something from an official source that can be verified. None of those 5 conditions are currently met, not one. Part 10. The hard truth. Here's what I actually believe. This is not a guess, nor is it hopium, and nor is it cope. Season 4 is not impossible. It would be wrong to say it's never happening. This franchise keeps coming back. The 7-year gap before Season 2 looked exactly like the death of the anime. The 4-year gap before Season 3 looked the same. And yet, both seasons happened. The pattern says don't count it out, but don't count on a timeline. But what is different now is the convergence of obstacles. The manga is on health-related hiatus. The author is 37 years into his only series. Multiple voice actors are gone, the co-production model has changed, and Morikawa himself, the one who told the world the story is halfway through, is in recovery right now. The conditions for Season 4 are harder than they've ever been. That doesn't mean never, but it means not yet. Probably not soon. And definitely not in response to some tweet that went viral last year. So the next time a video drops telling you it's confirmed, check the source. Check whether anyone official said anything. Check if there's a studio name, a broadcaster, a press release attached to it. If there isn't, you already know what you're looking at. That is the actual and real situation. No hype, no fabricated leaks. Just the history, the production realities, and what's happening right now with the manga and the author. If and when Season 4 gets genuinely confirmed, an actual production announcement from an actual official source, I'll be right here to break it down. And it'll be the real thing, not a thumbnail. If you want to stay on top of the actual Hajime no Ippo story, the manga, the characters, what's happening at chapter 15, 15 and beyond, like, hype, and subscribe. That's what this channel is for, and I'll see you in the next one.